University of Florida out yesterday shows Crist sitting with you now with a 7-point lead over the governor, with 47% preferring Crist over the 40% supporting Rick Scott. And a Quinnipiac poll taken a few days earlier shows Crist running 8 points ahead of Scott with 46% to Scott's 38%. Crist is out with a new book called The Party's Over, How the Extreme Right Hijacked the GOP and He Became a Democrat. Former Florida governor and Democratic candidate Charlie Crist joins me now. Thank you, Charlie. I've always liked you politically. Let me talk about this thing here. First of all, there's an issue that really bothers me. I don't like wars we don't have to fight, we get talked into with bad evidence and bad arguments, and I don't like people being screwed out of voting. You know, somebody called me anti-white the other day on a blog because I fight all the time for minorities to vote.
Right.
I think you can beat somebody in sports, but damn well do it fair. Absolutely. I think you have to have a fair playing field in politics, and everybody should get to vote. Why does your ex-party think the way to fight the demographic changes in this country is to screw the minorities? And this is something you've seen in Florida, and Rick Scott's right behind it.
Absolutely is. When I was governor, even as a Republican in 2008, we had long lines with early voting in Florida. You know, it was Obama versus McCain. And Dan Gelber, who was the Democratic House leader in Florida, called me up and he said, Governor, you got to do something about this. It's wrong. And for me, frankly, it's never been about right versus left. It's been about right versus wrong. And it was a compelling argument to me. And he said, sign an executive order expanding the rights so our fellow Floridians can vote. So I did it. 4 years later.
We're looking at the lines here.
Yeah, it's terrible. It was terrible. 4 years later, Rick Scott faces the same situation. Dan Gelber and I call him and say, you got to sign an executive order like I did 4 years ago. Let our people vote. He wouldn't do it. And, you know, when you look at Rockefeller
Center
election day,
what does he say to you?
Nobody had it.
We have Pennsylvania guys up there who openly say it's partisan. I'm not saying they don't like black people. I'm saying they don't like black people voting Democrat. And so what they do is they try to make it harder.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've been in the discussions. I have seen it, and it's appalling, and it's wrong. And, you know, people would come to me when I was the Republican governor in the Republican Party, not Republican people. Mom and Dad are still Republicans. They're good, honest, fair people. But in the party, the activists really want to try to suppress the vote. And what does that tell you? The guys who can only win when less people vote, that's not the right team, and that's not the right values. And that's not what we ought to be standing for in America. I don't care what party you're in. We need to be, as a democracy, encouraging people to vote. You know, it's important for the democracy to survive that people have the right to vote and vote in a
Okay, that's partisan crap to me. It's just a way to win. I mean, it's dirty politics.
It's wrong.
You do it in Pennsylvania. It's not a southern-northern thing. They're doing it everywhere. 36 states under Reince Priebus and the Republican Party are doing it. He hates to hear this, but it is his party, and he could blow the whistle on this.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah, let's